You could see the bone in my bicep. Like, I had no muscle mass at all. Hit people and hurt people. Like, that was my goal. My goal was to make the other team suffer when I tackled them. And he sent me a message back like, what the hell, man? I sent you through all this stuff. I did this and this and this for you. I'm like, I get it, man, but I changed my mind. When I do the elliptical, it wouldn't just be like a steady state elliptical. No, I'd be going like all out for like 30 minutes as hard as I could. I was crazy. You know, honestly, I didn't even want to walk across the stage to graduate. I just sent me my diploma in the mail. Welcome to the Mongoose Mindset Podcast. My name is Luke McLeod. I've been into fitness for over 10 years now. I recovered from an eating disorder. I did professional wrestling. I've been doing bodybuilding style training consistently now for about 1 to 2 years. But before that, I was weightlifting. So in the last podcast episodes, we talked about, what Mongoose Mindset is and getting into like my eating disorder and doing the Navy SEAL workout training. In this episode, I wanted to get into after I came back from my eating disorder in high school and how I started lifting weights. So when I came back from my eating disorder into high school, I was still really, really skinny. When I do a bicep pose, or if I was doing like bicep curls when I started lifting weights, you could see the bone in my bicep. Like, I had no muscle mass at all. So when I got back from my eating disorder and I was in 7th grade, I couldn't do any sports at all. They didn't want me to go back into the ways that I was doing before. So I couldn't do any sports. I couldn't do any type of like physical activity really. So when I get off from school and come home, I basically just play video games. I played Fortnite. I became obsessed with Fortnite. This was when Fortnite was getting like its breakthrough. Fortnite was like the game to play. And I was actually one of the first people to actually play the game before it broke out into like a viral sensation. At the end of season 1, beginning of season 2, I started playing it. Both me and my brother. And I fell in love with it. I would get home, hop on the game, and me and my friends would play until I went to bed and then wake up, go to school, get home, do it again. So that was kind of like what I used to cope with not being able to do any type of physical activity. So when I got in 8th and 9th grade, I decided, hey, maybe I want to join the JV football team. So I went to the conditioning all throughout the summer, all throughout the workouts, and I made the team. And when I was a kid, I was one of the biggest kids on the football team. I wanted to hit people and hurt people. Like, that was my goal. My goal was to make the other team suffer when I tackled them. But when I got into JV, I just was so kind of scared because in the back of my head, like I discussed in the past podcast episode, is that my bone density was so brittle. It was like the brittleness of like a 70-year-old woman. So I was just thinking like every time I played the sport, like, man, if I get hit hard again, I might break something. Luckily, I never did. At this time, when I was getting back into fitness and sports, I was going all in. In high school, I was doing JROTC. In JROTC, we did like training on Fridays, like PT training. So I was doing PT training. On top of in PE, I was running laps and stuff like that, doing physical activity. Then I'd go to football conditioning. And then on certain nights of the week, I'd go to Chesterfield, Virginia, because we were trying out lacrosse. We liked this camp that we tried out one time. So I went like, screw it. We'll try to play it. And I love lacrosse. Lacrosse was a great sport. It was just fun because it combined football and kind of like soccer. So it wasn't like football to where it's kind of slow paced. You got to reset the play. You got to do another play. No, it was like back and forth like soccer, but you could still hit and smack people's sticks and knock the balls out of their sticks. I enjoyed it. But JV football, I played that for a year. I mostly was just on the sidelines the whole time. I was just a backup because I was younger. I obviously wasn't as muscular and I wasn't as good as football. When I played football, even when I was younger, I really never cared about the skill aspect of it. I just wanted to tackle people. Like, I could never get behind me like the X's and O's when they were like writing it and like, okay, we got this play, we got this play. I could never really understand that. Nor did I really care. But I did JV football for a year, and then I was doing wrestling for 2 years. I did 1 year of JV wrestling, and I did 1 year of varsity wrestling. The thing about like the varsity wrestling is they wanted me to cut down more weight. I'm like, no, I'm already skinny as I am right now. Why would I cut down more weight? I didn't have a lot of body fat to lose. So I was in like the 132 weight class when I did wrestling. And I got to the point with wrestling, because I had done this all throughout the years in the rec department, So I just kind of got tired of it, honestly. I was tired of learning the same moves over and over again each year. I wasn't excited to go to these meets because my whole weekends would be taken up. Literally, after school, I'd go to practice, and then we'd have meets on like Thursdays, and then we'd have meets again on the weekend as varsity. It was just way too much. I had no time at home, no time to myself. At the time, I had like some lizards too that I was taking care of because I've always had a lot of animals. But at the end of that season, I said, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I bet if I would have went back my junior and senior year, especially since I stopped doing it and went straight into weightlifting, I would have probably made some decent progress just because of the skill and the more strength that I had because of the lifting weights. I just didn't like the team aspect of it. I didn't like being on a team and everybody gets you in trouble. Everybody wasn't as serious as I was. That's what frustrated me. So I got out of it. I started doing something for myself. I started lifting weights and developing my personal physique and developing my personal strength goals. It was to the point I was so obsessed with wanting to start lifting weights on a regular basis that I was like lifting weights after wrestling practice and after football practice, doing like abs or something like that. We'd already be lifting during the football session, but I'd do more after. So in January of 2020, after wrestling season ended for me, I walked into Walker's Gym in Hopewell, Virginia at 128 pounds. The first day we went in there, we did like their warrior class, which is kind of like a CrossFit style class. Like you're like hitting tires and running back and forth in between the rooms and doing machines and stuff, more like of a circuit workout. But then I got into like the weightlifting, so I was weightlifting, doing all these classes. And honestly, I was overtraining. Like I was doing way too much, especially at the beginning, because when you're just starting, you can literally not do that much and see a bunch of results because your body's not used to it. So I never really milked that first phase of weightlifting. So I started the classes and started lifting in January 2020. Like I'd get my grandma to take me to the gym. That's how much I wanted to go to the gym because I didn't have a driver's license at the time. Because you can't, in Virginia, you can't get a learner's permit until 15 and a half, and then you can't get your driver's license until 16 and 3 months. In March of 2020, everything shut down. The gym shut down, school districts shut down. We were back at home because of COVID. I love being at home, so I enjoyed it, but the only thing I missed was going to the gym. We have like this smaller weight set at the house. So I was doing that, doing these long routines, spending like 2 to 3 hours lifting weights. And then I do cardio on top of that. I was doing crazy stuff. Like I was running. I do some swimming some days. And when I do the elliptical, it wouldn't just be like a steady state elliptical. No, I'd be going like all out for like 30 minutes as hard as I could. Like if you saw me doing it, I was crazy. And then like some days I try to go ride bikes or something like that. And after everything came back because of COVID and the gym started opening, I went back and I started training again in the gym, getting consistently stronger and better and wanting to improve my physique. And over this time, I was tracking my nutrition and everything, but I was just tracking calories. Like I wasn't specifically eating the same foods every day. I was just adding up the calories to make what I needed to make. I stayed at the same amount of calories for a long period of time until my weight kind of stalled for a few months, and then I upped the calories by like 500. So I was kind of in like a perma bulk, you would say. At the time too, I'm skinny as shit. And it wasn't like I was downing like a ton of calories, like, you know, a bunch of sweets and stuff. So it was like lean calories. When I came back after a few months, the gym owner, he set me up with a powerlifting program to do one of their powerlifting meets. Well, first I did a mock meet. They didn't think they would have enough people because of COVID. So we just did a mock meet where you kind of just came in, you did your 3 lifts like a normal powerlifting meet, and you did what you did. It wasn't like you didn't win anything. And then I did my first meet technically was at some gym up in Richmond. It was like a CrossFit gym. I did pretty good on that. I think it was like 365 deadlift, like 180, 190 bench, and I forget what the squat was. It was like high 200s, I think. With the powerlifting, I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the weightlifting aspect. My lower back was always sore. It just wasn't as fun to me as like bodybuilding. You see a powerlifter, and normal powerlifters, like they look either, they're a little bit husky and big, but they're not jacked and lean like a bodybuilder. I wanted to be jacked and lean. That was my main goal, I feel like, all along. And also, after I did a few of those powerlifting meets, I went up to Richmond because I knew a guy who did VO2 testing. They wanted to test my VO2 max, and my VO2 max was crap because I was constantly working out. I was overworking my body. He put me on a VO2 max program. You start out and you're kind of, you're lower, your workouts aren't that long, but throughout the progression, you get longer and longer and longer. It's more of like for endurance athletes. I mean, anybody can do it and anybody can get benefits from it, like improving your VO2, but It's more for like endurance athletes, like cyclists, ultra marathon runners, triathlon athletes. I did one cycle of it, then I went back and got it retested. It had went up, so that was good. And then he put me on another one, and we got probably about halfway through that. The gym owner, he was even like, what's kind of like your main goal? Do you want to lift weights, or do you want to run or do an ultra marathon? I'm like, I want to lift weights. I want to get bigger. He said, that's probably not. I mean, you can still do something like that, but that shouldn't be your main goal. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because it got to one point where I was walking the stairs with like a 20-pound vest, and then I put a 25-pound plate in a backpack and went up and down these stairs. For the most I did it was 90 minutes straight. You know how boring that is to go up and down steps for 90 minutes? When I did it for that 90-minute time, the first 10 minutes of it, I have never felt high before. Like, I've never smoked weed or done any type of drugs, so I don't know what the feeling of high feels like. But if I were to know what that feeling was, that's what it felt like, because my vision was like blurry. The lights were vibrant. It stayed like that for 10 minutes. And also, one thing that's kind of scary looking back on it, which I didn't really care at the time because I was committed to doing what I was doing, the whole left side of my body went numb. My left leg was going numb. The side of my face was going numb. So I don't know if I was maybe getting ready to have a stroke or what. Literally, the whole left side of my body went numb, like they say when a stroke happens. I stayed consistent with lifting at Walkers that whole time. And I had a few training partners I trained with there. There was one guy who I trained with. We trained, both me and him trained hard. We were hard workers in general too. He owned a construction company that I came and worked for during the summers. I worked in the shop originally, like the first summer, and then second summers and the different breaks, I started working on a few crews. I wanted to see something different. And so I'd work probably like 46 to 50 hours a week at the job, then go to the gym at night, then go to work the next morning. I would be there at 7 in the morning, then leave at 5, and we'd do that Monday through Friday. Some days we'd leave early on Fridays if we didn't have much going on. Most of the days it was 7 to 5, and then on the weekends I was doing side work, helping out people with mulching, trimming trees and stuff like that. Because it's satisfying seeing a finished product when you're done. All the mulch laid out, the limbs trimmed or the hedges trimmed. But it got to the point to where I was just wore out all the time. I had no time for myself because on top of doing all that work, I'd still have to come home. I'd have to clean out the chicken coop. I had to cut grass in the summertime. And I'm the type of person, I hate being outside in the summertime because where I'm from in Prince George, Virginia, it gets so hot and humid. It's probably not as bad as like Georgia or Florida maybe. But Florida, you kind of got that breeze. Prince George, Virginia in the summertime, it is fucking humid. You can see the water molecules in the air. You can just step outside for a few seconds in the summertime and you're already sweating. It feels like you're encased in an oven when you're outside. So I hated the summer. Like I said, I lifted weights all throughout high school. I did a few JROTC events, but I was never on like a team or anything because I was so obsessed with lifting weights and going to the gym and doing my side work on the weekends. And when I was at JROTC in high school, I got to the highest rank that you could go. I got to like the battalion commander, lieutenant colonel. They put you at that spot because you're the role model for the younger cadets. The only thing that didn't make me a role model for the younger cadets was because I didn't do any teams or anything like that, but I participated in all the community activities, or most of them. Did all the blood drives, got blood taken, had good grades, worked out. They were astonished on how physically fit I was, like how fast I could run a mile. I ran a mile in like 5 minutes and 20 seconds. I think that was my best time. And how like mature I was for my age. So I'm grateful for that position they gave me, serving as that role model, that leadership type role. The only thing with me is I have a hard time delegating things off to people because you just have that thing in your head like, man, I don't know if I really trust this person doing this. I don't know if I trust them doing that. Let me just do it myself. So a lot of the stuff I ended up doing myself, which I really should have delegated to people because that's what true leadership is. But ultimately, I left the program better than I found it. So I'm more than happy of what I did there. Like I made these challenge coins for them to hand out to like outstanding cadets. Made different things that they can use for, or ideas that they can use in the next years to come. So I'm happy with where I ended my career with that. And also during high school, I was doing the band, the pipe band that my mom played in for, because we played for like law enforcement funerals, and then we played on like general days like St. Patrick's Day and stuff like that, so we could make money for our nonprofit. It got to the point with that where I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't passionate about it. Like when I first joined and I was playing the instruments, man, I was practicing every day. But it got to the point where I didn't really have that much time to commit, or I didn't want to commit any time to it because I was so invested in the weightlifting and so invested in work. So ultimately, after high school, I quit that. And I'm glad I did because I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't enjoy being around the drunk people during like St. Patrick's Day. Some of the times they were funny, but most of the times they were just kind of like a hassle. They made fun of you, and I didn't like that. I'm a sociable person. Like, I get along well with people, but I don't like to be in that setting for long periods of time. I like to be kind of in a solitude or with the few people who are just like me. And I ultimately like enjoying my free time because, like I've said before, we only get one life. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing in your free time, why are you doing it? Do something else. So this came to the end of my senior year. And honestly, I didn't even want to walk across the stage to graduate. I didn't care about that. I didn't even want to go to graduation. I just wanted to just send me my diploma in the mail. I'm fine with it. Because I didn't even talk to any of my friends during... Not that I had many friends in high school. I really didn't have any friends that were close. I think I probably had one friend that was really, really close. Other than that, everybody else was just general classmates that I was with. I connected more with my masonry teacher than anybody else out of my whole high school career. We were just alike. We wanted to work. I liked laying bricks at the trade school that I went to and doing that type of work, so we bonded really well. He liked professional wrestling, and that's ultimately where I went after high school. I went to do that professional wrestling thing. Sometimes I'd get there and we'd do like practice promos. He'd be like, all right, you gotta do a promo today because you're going to wrestling trade school. You gotta practice your promos. You gotta get your character development going. So we did a few promos, and a lot of those aren't even published on YouTube. They're on like my private page, but maybe in the future I'll publish those because a lot of them are funny, especially seeing where I was there and kind of where I am now, or how much I improved once I got to start doing the professional wrestling. But a career option I also was considering before I went into professional wrestling, I was considering going in the military because ultimately when I was 12 years old, I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. I wanted to go in the military. So I was like, okay, well, let me look at this. I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to do any of that at the time. And my JROTC instructors are like, I think you could go to West Point because of your grades and how disciplined and stuff you are. I'm like, I don't really want to go to a military college. I had already went to a camp at Virginia Tech that year. Again, it's just like the team thing. I mean, the camaraderie is fun, I guess. I don't like the idea of somebody, I don't know, being in like it's almost like a cult. So first I was interested in the Navy and said, hey, I want to maybe do this Navy SEAL thing again. They took me to MEPS, which is the Military Entrance Processing Station. And I went through that. They needed me to come back because they flagged me for my eating disorder. And I came back, and this MEPS thing is like a whole day. Like, you sit in that facility for like a whole day. It's really, really boring. And like the night before, you got to stay in a hotel before you go in there. But I went back that second time, and it was worse than the first time because you got there. They drove you in a van up to Richmond to talk to like some psychiatrist on the phone. So you drove in a van all the way to Richmond to talk to some psychiatrist in an office that was somewhere else. It was dumb. And then when I got back, they were like, all right, yeah, you're fine. Like, okay, I knew I was fine. So while I was going through all that process, I was kind of getting frustrated. And I figured out like, hey, I don't think I want to go through this. And so I texted the recruiter that. And he sent me a message back like, what the hell, man? I sent you through all this stuff. I did this and this and this for you. I'm like, I get it, man, but I changed my mind. So then I went to the Army. I was thinking about, going in the Army. I forget exactly what happened there, but I think it was the same thing. Like, they were waiting for something to come back to approve me to go in, and they finally said it came back and it was good to go. And by that point, it was taking so long, I was looking at other ideas. I was getting back into professional wrestling. I really liked the idea of doing that, so I started contacting OVW. So I was in contact with OVW while all this was happening. They had a facility tour coming up. I was really interested in doing this, so I'm like, Dad, I think we could go out there and check this out. We drove out there. I loved it. I thought I was all in for it, and I wanted to do it. This guy named EC3, he was there. He was a professional wrestler in the WWE and TNA. He was actually the NWA World Heavyweight Champion not too long ago. I mean, this guy's jacked and shredded. Looks like a Greek god. So he came up and he went like, for anybody who wants to stand up here and do a promo in front of me, you ought to take the chances that you can get. So I raised my hand and I went up there and did a promo. And it was really, really shit. Halfway scared. Like, the feeling that you get when you do something like that, it's next to nothing. Like, the adrenaline rushes through your body. So while we were out there, we looked at other apartments in the area so I could get an idea of where I'd be living. We came back to Virginia. I met with the Army recruiters and said, nope, I'm not going to the Army. I'm going with these other people. Sorry. I just started preparing for moving out there to Louisville, Kentucky, like writing everything down that I needed to bring, what I needed to do once I got out there, finding an apartment where I'm going to live. I was looking for jobs too, but I ended up not getting a job until I got out there. After I graduated high school, like I said, I walked across the stage that I didn't really want to walk across because I didn't really give a crap. I'd rather just have it in the mail. I graduated that Saturday. I think the next Saturday, my mom did like a graduation party for me that I did not want to have. I obviously didn't want to do it, but I got a lot of, I guess, cash money from that helped me, save. There was a lot of people I was connected with and wanted to come to that party and support me. It was more like a graduation / going away party. So 2 weeks after I graduated high school, I went off to train at OVW. And that's going to bring it to the end of this podcast. If you need help dialing your nutrition, training, lifestyle habits, reach out to me at mongoosemindset01@gmail.com or click in the link in the description box. That'll send you to my website and all the things that you need to do to get in contact with me. You can book a free phone consultation, talk with me, and see if this is the right option for you or not. The next episode, we will get into the professional wrestling side of the story and dive into my training and becoming a professional wrestler, traveling on the road, and ultimately why I stopped doing it. So if you like this video, if you like this story, like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on all the things I put out. If you're interested in learning about my early childhood and how I got into fitness, watch this video over here and it'll show you all that. And like always, act now, evolve forever.